Welcome, everyone. Let's take a look at who's all here. Oh, good. It's a full class. With that said, I will point out again that you've got to log in, say you were here today. Some of you, I think, have missed the mark, and if you have, and you go look at your grade book, then please let me know that, hey, I was there that day, but I neglected to log in and say that. I know I've mentioned that before, but it really means a lot to me that you guys are getting credit for what you're supposed to be doing out there in the big wide world. For everybody who is remote, go ahead and give me an idea of what's going on. Hey, Stephen, can you hear me? Let's see if I can hear you.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that actually, because I was just looking at my grade book, and like August 27th, which I think was like our first class, it shows that I have a 0 for the attendance that day, but I was definitely there because that was like I think our first day, or maybe our second class.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to show me a photo, man. I don't believe you. Anyway, Stephen, yeah, no problem, friend. Do me a favor, send me an email, and that goes for any of you. This is a 1-hour course, okay? I don't want you to get behind in something and say, hey, I think I did that, or I had trouble doing that. You email me, I'll just let you off the hook every time. What I want you to do, though, is because this is an ACA course, I do want you to sort of get in the habit of playing by the rules. That is, go through everything, always show up. First 2 rules for succeeding in any college class. The other one of those rules is plan ahead, because the fact is, for those of you who are traditional students who have been in high school recently, those non-traditional students, please forgive me because you've probably already learned this lesson the hard way. I've had this happen many times where I've gotten, because I taught high school in the past, and then I followed up with my students, when they became adults, and they were saying their college experience, their freshman year, they kept getting kicked in the behind because there were like several things due and no one was telling them, so they weren't getting the constant reminders. In this class, I don't mind doing that, but really, every single thing that goes through, and right now, when we have the LMS for all the courses and most of the assignments are logged in there, you don't have any reason to fall behind unless you're just busy slammed. And I know some of you are working full time, and if I was working full time, I'd be stressed to keep up with 3 or 4 courses as well. So if you're falling behind because of that, another thing, just email me and tell me. But I can tell you right now, most of the faculty here, if your real life experience is sort of killing you right now and you can't keep up, or you're having trouble financially, as we talked about, or whatever, this is a safe place. And I just want you to know, the ACA classes especially, you can always reach out and say, hey, I'm having trouble. I know someone reached out to me yesterday, and I asked them to follow up with me today, that they had fallen behind. They said, hey, I never got this assignment done, I want to. You'll also see that I took off the financial aid assignment and discussion because that individual doesn't come until the 25th. With that said, Dane, do you need to have the website open or anything, friend?
Yes, I'm going to do a screen share.
Okay, yeah. Just so you know, this is set up right now that screen 2 is on and there's audio to it.
Okay.
And I will make sure that, I'll make sure it is, that's what they were just watching. Oh, and by the way, today we were watching Alvin Ailey dance troupe, just amazing group, have been around for decades, and really powerful modern dance. And so I'm trying to open every class with something a little different than maybe you wouldn't have bumped into. Okay, so Dane is here from the library, and he is going to give you some ideas of what can be, what services they're going to provide, and anybody's college career has to be based on that. It turns out that traditionally, when colleges were first being created, both in England as well as in the United States early, they had this thing called the quad. I know we've all heard of a quad, but there was actually a reason for that, because you had educational buildings on each side of the quad. On one end, you had the chapel. On the other end, you had the library. And now, I'm not trying to get religious, but the reason that existed is because the idea on the way they designed campuses is you would have your spiritual life, and I think we all have some kind of a soul that we're dealing with, whatever our religious inclinations are. And the other end of that, we have an intellectual life, and that's the library. So that's how colleges have historically been designed. And realistically, they still sort of follow that route, because you've got your own personal life on one end of your quad, and on the other end of the quad, you have the academics. And that really is not a building of a library, but a concept of a library. And Dane will talk to you about ways to advance that. So with that introduction, Dan, come on up here, friend. And like I said, anything in this screen will be shown. They can also see it through that camera, so they'll be able to switch back and forth, so as you know. And if you need anything, I'm right here.
All right, so do you need any time at the end to wrap things up?
What now?
Do you want any time at the end to wrap things up?
No. You as long as you feel it's important, and Conrad, if you drift off to sleep, just that's your.
Drop this metal thing. All right, hi everybody. Hello, everybody remotely. Just getting oriented here. This is a nice classroom. So a few more features than I'm used to. So I'm Dane Secor. If you haven't seen me, haven't met me, I'm the electronic resources librarian. And today I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to the library, some real basic stuff, hours, policies, procedures, things like that. And then also I'm going to show you where you can find the resources that you need, not just to complete these college papers and meet the requirements of your instructors, but just going to show you how to vet different resources, how to search for these different resources, peer-reviewed academic journal articles, magazines, trade journals. You may hear all these terms thrown around. I'll show you where you can find those and how you can use the library to access those. So with the library, the big thing we're going to talk about is access. We pay for subscriptions to thousands and thousands of journals, newspapers, and magazines, so you don't have to. We can tell you not to start with Google, be careful with Google. Everybody uses Google. Great way to find resources. A lot of times when you're doing academic research, you will hit a paywall. You can be asked to pay 10, 20, 30, sometimes hundreds of dollars for an academic journal article. Use the library, you don't have to. We pay for those. I'm going to start today. If you want to follow along at home, you can just go to blueridge.edu. And then at the very bottom of the page, you scroll all the way down underneath student resources. You should be able to see this library and open lab link. So I'll be going through here, but if you do want to follow along, just click library and open lab. And right here, if you have used library databases in the past, you're comfortable doing these searches, you can jump off right away and search in that library search box. Just be aware you're going to get all resource types with this initial search. So I like to use alternative energy as my example. Alternative energy. As my example search, renewable energy.
I thought it was a media source.
No, sorry. So yeah, my example keyword is alternative energy. So when I do that search, you see I get about 4 million results here. So if you are familiar with databases, you are familiar with using keywords, you can jump off right on that library homepage and go from there. You always want to boil down your topic into 2 to 4 keywords to start with when you're searching library databases. You don't want to type in a full question like sometimes folks do in Google. Library databases often work with what's called subject headings, which are essentially standardized tags that are applied to articles. So that's why you want to think in terms of keywords, think in terms of synonyms, related terms, broader terms, narrower terms. So I search for alternative energy. I could search for renewable energy. I could get specific, geothermal, alternative energy vehicles. Just think about all the different ways folks refer to your topic, and also think about how the experts refer to your topic. You want to use the vocabulary in the database that the experts use, that the professionals use in your field. So this alternative energy search, 4 million results. I can do some quick narrowing down by content type here. I'll go into a little more detail in just a minute when we go over different types of resources. But for now, just want to draw your attention to that items at my institution. It's checked. Always make sure that's checked. That means you're just getting resources that we pay for and that we can provide. So
and how do you check that?
It's checked by default.
Okay.
So when you do an initial search, it should always be checked. Sometimes somewhere along the line, students may click it and uncheck it, or going back and forward, things can get mixed up. But if you do hit a paywall, just go back and make sure that's checked, and that'll filter out everything that we do not pay for. So before I get any deeper in there, I'm going to scroll down. We have a few options here. These tiles down here, we have our A to Z database list. That's if you just want to search on a specific topic. We have 150 different databases around that on every topic you think of: social sciences, biological sciences, engineering, automotive, just English. So if you can pick a specific database and search, this box up here searches all of those databases at once. So if you want to do a more focused search, use that A to Z database list.
Can you please show me how that works?
Sure.
Say you're doing alternative energy, and you know a little something about it. So what database would you want to start with and knowing something? Because most of us wouldn't know what the heck database we're looking for, right?
Yes, so that's the beauty that this search box here at the top, this summon one, is it searches everything but.
What would you do
So,
for like alternative energy? What database would you choose?
So if I'm coming here, never looked at this A to Z list, I would just search for databases. I would try science just to narrow that list of databases down, just science in general. And you see we have a science database here, Gale and context science, social science, biology database. So alternative energy can be a pretty broad topic. There can be some articles in biology databases about alternative energy sources, biofuels you might see in a biology database. So if you want to think about your topic, think about specifics. Even a political science database. What if you're doing policy-related, searches for alternative energy related to government policy, national policy, international policy? You might want to check that political science database. So again, depending on your topic, you might want a different one. But if you do see one, let's say I do want to search just this general science database, and you can see right there, it has alternative energy sources in the description. So that's nice. It'll take you just to a different screen. This is a company called ProQuest. It's just a little bit more specific and focused. The three major vendors we have, the people who own the databases, ProQuest, Gale, and EBSCO. So there used to be, dozens of different companies out there. Like anything else, these big companies have been buying up everything, and now there's really three main ones that we use here.
Do you have a preference?
Not really. Gale is kind of the most user-friendly, kind of colorful, soft around the edges, I guess. ProQuest Central is our most comprehensive database. That's our biggest one. So that's usually where I end up going with general searches. But I don't have a strong preference now. Sometimes I do. It depends which one's cooperative at the moment. So my opinion can change week to week. So, but our big database is ProQuest Central. If I go to P here, you'll see ProQuest Central, and this is our general reference database with over 175 subjects. So that's our largest one. So you'll see a good deal of articles coming out of there. I do like psych articles. That's our psychology database provided through EBSCO. Just a really great collection. Costs a lot of money, but it gives us some excellent articles. So if you are doing psychology research, it's a new database right here called Psych Articles. And I also like medical databases in general, just because they're very specific and they have a lot of tools for really powerful searches. So A to Z list. You can book a study room. We have 3 study rooms. One has an iMac, one has whiteboard and a chalkboard. The other one is just table and chairs. They're quiet. You can close the door. They're there for your use. You can book them ahead of time online. Just click.
How's that work during COVID? What are the rules on these rooms you book?
So the rules on the room, you still book them in 2-hour blocks. When you leave, we have signs saying "Let us know" when you leave. We sterilize the room, give it a wipe down, and then we need 10 minutes to let that sterilization.
Are they just individuals?
If you come in with the group, you can work with that group. That's what we've been seeing there, and we've been limiting it to 4 people per room. So it is, fewer in the past. We used to have 6 chairs in one of the rooms, but keep it at 4 fewer. And you can see here, there's some students had booked these ahead of time, have a few blocks booked out. But if you were to come in right now and you want this room, you can just walk up to the desk, say, "Hey, can I use the student workroom?" And we can put you in there. We get a lot of use. Those are for your use. We have some students coming in there and just need some time alone. Don't even need for schoolwork. Your business. So those study rooms are for students, and if you just need a quiet place to be alone, that can be yours. So we have our book lists here. We should have some new ones coming out soon for fall. We try to advertise our newer movies and kind of do fiction and literature books here. We do try to stay on top, especially movies. It's a great way to get you all into the library. We have every movie we buy has the Blu-ray and DVD combo pack. So depending on your device at home, you should be able to play them. These are just some of the more recent ones: 1917, Bad Boys for Life, Birds of Prey. We have a lot of fans of movies, and these get a lot of circulation. So at the very least, come in, browse our movie selection, and then maybe browse some books while you're at it. But if you prefer to keep distant, we can run these out to you. We can do curbside pickup. So anybody at home, if you do want a movie, you do find a book that you want, give us a call. You pull up, we'll run it out to you. make sure that we maintain that social distancing. So if you see something here and you're at home, you can still get it. And then we just have a book list here as an example. But we do, we are an academic library, but we do buy popular literature as well. So you see some of those here, and this is a good one right there. So go ahead and browse those at your leisure. I'm going to focus today a little from here on this LibGuides link. So LibGuides, these are guides in different subject areas that we've created to help you sometimes with specific assignments, sometimes just kind of generic guides. That ACA library research guide is at the top. That has all of our library policy introduction and some other resources in there. But go ahead and browse the list if you'd like. You can see everything from automotive, Brit Lit, English, economics. So if you have a research project, you're looking for resources, you don't really know where you want to jump off, you're not sure how to get oriented, try one of these guides.
So these library guides you guys have made,
yes,
because you along the way have bumped into certain students in certain fields have been asked to do some research, but they're sort of green and they don't know even where to start.
Yes.
Where to start are these guides you guys have put together. What do they include?
So I just pulled up an English guide, English 110 as an example. When I pulled up that A to Z database list earlier, if you're not comfortable browsing that list or searching that list, these LibGuides, we have specific databases pooled, so popular databases in each subject area. So if you don't want to start with that big list, go to a guide, and we'll see some links here to CQ Researcher, Literature Resource Center, Films on Demand, Reference USA as an example. And then other links, how to write a research paper, MLA citation formatting, MLA style guides, APA style guides. So we have them not just for subjects, specific subject areas. You'll see some citation guides, Student Success Center guides, and some other kind of general, one called Bibliotherapy, which is just kind of fun stuff that the library can provide, like consumer reports, some free ebook collections if you're into genealogy, Heritage Quest, things like that. So those are our guides, but I'm going to go into the ACA library research guide for now. So this is just an orientation video, quick 5 minutes. Going to give you a condensed version of what I'm giving you today, so I won't play that for you. On this library homepage, we have Credo Reference. This is our major reference database that we use. This is kind of our big one. This is your academic alternative to Wikipedia. You'll probably hear "don't cite Wikipedia" 1,000 times. The great thing about Credo, as opposed to Wikipedia, we know who's writing these entries. We know the author, we know the editor, we can identify them, we can evaluate their expertise, we can vet, these resources are vetted.
What's this?
This is Credo Reference.
Okay. And what is Credo Reference in the database, or is the database?
So this is a reference database. So okay. This is a number of different reference resources, hundreds. So if you do a search, Wikipedia will just take you to the alternative energy entry. This one will give you entries from across encyclopedias that cover a number of different subject areas.
Oh, so when you say references, you mean it's reference material and it's actually doing searches among like encyclopedias and other
yes.
reference books?
So,
okay, I'm slow-witted, sorry.
So this will search encyclopedias, dictionaries, atlases, handbooks, all those reference resources, those big, heavy, thick ones that you sometimes can't check out of the library.
So this is to give you a sort of overview of what you're
yes.
looking into, to sort of see what the experts say about that rather than doing your own research. And this is sort of step one?
Yes, yes. So that's why it's on the first page of ACA, because this is a great step one. Search for your topic in the reference database. You'll see it kind of exploded out here to related topics. What's nice is, if you're having trouble coming up with additional keywords, those synonyms, those related terms, this will come up with them for you. Okay, alternative energy, and how about nuclear power? What's peak oil? You can explore a topic.
Do me a favor, look up Alvin Ailey.
Spell that for me, please.
Alvin, like you think.
Alvin.
Ailey is A-I-L-E-Y.
Alvin Ailey. There he is.
Okay, and what are the hits?
So we have so there's a number of different encyclopedias. So when you are clicking these links, don't just click the first one and think, hey, this is the encyclopedia entry for this person or this topic. Here you can see Columbia Encyclopedia, probably going to be a general treatment, African American Almanac, Encyclopedia and Atlas and Weather Guide. So each one of these may give a bit of a different treatment of the topic. So just be aware of that. Look at what the encyclopedia covers. But this Columbia Encyclopedia entry looks like our top hit here. So you just click the title. There's your brief entry. What is awesome about online databases, online resources, is the majority of them will have a citation generator for you. So if you start with this, you end up citing, a piece of this. Look for quotation marks, usually at the top or in one of the sidebars. Just click citation, and there's your citation. This defaults to APA. Just make sure you're selecting the right format. And also, if you're copying and pasting that citation, make sure that formatting carries over. If the title of the publication is italicized, make sure those italics carry over into your paper if you're copying and pasting. You need to do those hanging indents in your bibliography, make sure that those carry over. But great way to save a lot of time is this citation here. There's your MLA, and it's also included here at the bottom.
Excellent.
So this is your reference database. That's just on page 1. That's called Credo. And the other thing I like about that kind of word cloud that we saw is if you click a name here, it'll reorient you and then update the entries based on the name you clicked. So you can kind of dig, like, I don't know if you've ever gone down like a click hole in Wikipedia, you pick one topic and then 5 hours later, what are you doing with your life? You can do that here as well, just with this web here. So you can keep clicking, it'll keep updating. Modern dance, there's your modern dance. And there's also a word count here. So if you want a quick entry, pick 50 words, pick 700 words. If you want a longer, more detailed entry, this one's 4,000 words. But again, your Encyclopedia of Race and Racism entry on dance is going to be much different than a General Phillips Encyclopedia on modern dance. Think about that as you're selecting these resources. So that's just kind of the page 1, the home stuff. We have this library catalog page with just some PDFs here, essentially basic stuff. Library hours, 8 to 8 Monday to Thursday, 8 to 4:30 on Fridays, closed on the weekends. Library@blueridge.edu. If you contact that, it goes to all 3 of us, and somebody will get back to you that day. If you do want to check out a book in the library, books circulate, books check out for 3 weeks at a time, and you can renew. Just give us a call and say, hey, I need the book for a little longer. We can renew that for another 3 weeks for you.
How long do videos check out?
Videos check out for 1 week. And we have a limit on 2 DVDs per student at one time. That's often because a student will see that new DVD list and then walk out with every single new DVD on the list. It's just not fair to other students. So books 3 weeks, DVDs 1 week, and you can renew. This says 1 renewal. You'll find I'm pretty flexible with that as long as another student isn't waiting for a resource. Just give me a call or stop by with the book. And we really just want it back in the library so other students can use it eventually. We do have fines, 10 cents a day per book, 25 cents a day per DVD. If you do have outstanding fines, it will put a block from registration or getting your transcripts. I'm not going to stop you from graduating over 10 cents. So if that block does get put on your account, come find me. You'll find I'm very forgiving with fines. All of us are pretty forgiving with fines. It's really just a little motivation for you all to get them back, get those resources back to us. So you all have priority on computers. We have some social distancing going on over there. We have some dividers between computers. We removed a lot of chairs just to make sure that everybody's sitting safe distance apart. But they are there for your use. Some have webcams. Some have specialized software. You need AutoCAD, QuickBooks, some of that loaded on some of the computers there. We also have a printer, scanner, copier. Printing is 15 cents a page, and you all get 100 free pages every semester of printing as part of that technology fee that you all pay. So after that 100 pages, it's 15 cents a page, and you can pay cash only at the library to load your print card. Just be aware, if you put 20 bucks on your print card at the end of the semester, and the semester ends, that charge disappears. You can't roll it over to the next semester. So if it gets down to it, be careful with that. But we'll warn you if you do that, if you come along to do that. Off-campus access. Anything that I'm showing you today, if you're off campus, you will hit a wall. If you try to access at home, you just need to log in using that same My Blue Ridge username and password that you use for everything else on campus. So that is your key to library resources. Every once in a while, you may need to select your college before you enter your username and password. Just make sure you're selecting Blue Ridge, North Carolina, not Blue Ridge Community College, Virginia. If you take 81 up to Maryland, you will pass that. You can see it from the highway. That's something common that students do. It's something common that people we work with do. I mean, just it's easy to get them confused. Just make sure you're in the right Blue Ridge, but just use that username and password. That's the key to everything. So we have another search box here, search books and ebooks. So this is just a little more focused. It's going to be that same, we call this summon, this discovery tool essentially. You see items at my institution checked automatically, but since this is just searching resources in the library and books and ebooks, it has that library catalog library catalog filter checked. So when you want stuff in the library, think library catalog. So I searched alternative energy. My results went from 4 million to 143. We have limited space. We have about 30,000 books over there. So you can see the collections that we have here. You can narrow by publication date, especially important if your topic, there's rapid advancements. In some fields, we get rid of books after 5 years, trying to make sure that we have everything up to date. So currency is something you always want to be thinking about when you're looking at library books. We are trying to constantly update, but there can be some older material there. So if you find a book, for instance, Energy Alternatives in 2015, 2010, what's happened in the last 10 years? What's changed? Especially, political policy, rapid technological advancements. Just really consider all that when you're looking at the book. To find a book in the library, you may be familiar with Dewey Decimal from public libraries. Most academic libraries use Library of Congress classification. So it starts with 1 to 2 letters for energy alternatives. You see here TJ, TJ, TJ. All the books in a subject area will be in the same place in the library. So you're doing an alternative energy research. If you find one book, that can be your key to other books on the topic. Just walk to that, and other books around that book will be on the similar topic, similar subject area. Great way to browse, especially if you have like a broad topic you're interested in. I'm interested in philosophy. I'm interested in world religions. Go to the B section. Interested in psychology, go to the B section. So those different topics are in the same area. So start alphabetically. So I'm going to go to the T section. Once I'm in the T's, I'm going to go to the TJ section, for this first book, and then I'm going to go by number. So once I'm in TJs, then I go to the 800s, 808, and so on and so on. So with our library, since it's smaller than some, these massive academic libraries, it's not going to be too difficult. You might not have to get too deep into the call number to find your book, but it is important to write down the full call number, especially if you're going to a large university or large college with a huge library. It can be easy to get lost. But that's your book address. What's that? Fiction is still Library of Congress call number. They are by author, but the literary criticism and the books by the author will be in the same place. So, if, let's say you're writing about Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, you don't have to go to one part of the library to get Romeo and Juliet, another part of the library to get literary criticism. All of it will be in the same place. So all of our Shakespeare lit crit is all in the same shelf area. So it's really helpful for research. It makes things easier, less running around for you. You can click preview, get a little bit more information about a book. Sometimes there'll be a summary, a number of pages, a series, subjects. Those are those text, renewable energy sources, related topics over here. Be aware of those.
And our sister libraries show up in this, or am I getting
No, they do. So this is us and TCC, Transylvania Campus.
Well, what about other state schools? Do we have any kind of sharing capacity here?
So we do have interlibrary loan with other community colleges and a couple other universities we have agreements with. If you uncheck items at my institution and library catalog, that'll get you every community college in the system.
Okay.
And then we can have them mail us books. So if you do see a book or you want a book and we don't have it, ask us, call us, email us. Give us about a week lead time. Things are a little bit more slow, running a little more slowly right now because of COVID, because of different opening policies. So try to give us as much lead time as possible. But we'll put that request in the same day. They just got to package it up and mail it to us, and you can check it out.
And I'll just talk there for, I hope people remotely can hear as well. I'm trying to shout that when we're talking about getting another book that's not here, because we have, we have a great collection for general topics, but if you're specifying within that, it's tricky. So if you're doing a very specific part of, name your topic, and you're not just doing modern dance, but you're doing Alvin Ailey specifically, or Alvin Ailey, one of his lead dancers, then there's a chance there's a book on that person, but the chance that we have that book on that dancer is pretty small. However, if they're well known, say it's Baryshnikov or something, we may not have those books, but another library will. So the interlibrary loan isn't that you're like so picky, you need lots of books on it. It's just very often as you drill deeper and you're trying to go from books as opposed to just articles, that's when the interlibrary loan is just horrific. And if they're going to order it from another library, and you're doing a research paper for name a class, if it's clear that you've taken that extra step of having Dane get you a book, that's pretty cool. So just think about that if you're serious about the academic part of your endeavor here, which I assume most of you are. Then as you do research and you're looking for this kind of stuff, don't limit yourself to what we have, thinking, oh, that'll be enough. Really try to go the next step, because that will be reflected when your instructor's going through your information. It's going to be clear that you spent some time talking to Dane and work with the library to really get your best resources rather than just sort of throwing it together, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and so for an example, we had this reference book, this encyclopedia that was hugely popular. It was barely in our library. It was called Anvils in America. Very specific topic, just a history of anvils, like blacksmith anvils. Went out week after week after week. It was being requested. And a few years back, we were part of a national consortium where we would send our book out all over the country. So we would send it to Nevada. We would send it to California. I mean, everywhere you can imagine. At some point along the line in the last few years, somebody decided to hang on to it. Very rude to other patrons, other folks who want to use it, but that's just an example. We don't do national lending anymore. They've increased the price on that pretty significantly. But some colleges and universities, a good number, especially the larger schools, still do that. So if you transfer, if you're on the college transfer path or you end up attending a four-year school, you may be able to have access to nearly every library in the country that's a part of this group. So there can be some really cool stuff out there that you can find if you dig, and it can save you a ton of money, especially on academic books. You can't find it in the library. You don't want to pay $100 for it online. Go to somebody who has it in their library loan service and see if you can get access to it that way. So that's just our books and ebooks search. You'll see these search boxes across LibGuides. Just read the header there just to make sure you're searching what you're looking for specifically. So this next tab is our online collection. Search a digital collection link here. The alternative energy. So let's check these filters. What's automatically checked on the left? Full text online and items at my institution. So this is everything you can access right away just by clicking the title. I'll click this Alternative Energy Technologies article here from Nature, and boom, there's my article. This took me directly to the PDF, the full text PDF. Sometimes it'll just be a wall of text. If there is a PDF available, I recommend you all look at that. Sometimes it can include information that isn't in just the standard text-based version. Some graphs, some charts, some images might not come through. So this has that PDF by default, and here's your access to the article. So this search box, will get you magazine articles, newspaper articles. You can see under content type here a whole bunch of different types of content. So if you have a paper due and your instructor wants you to get those academic journal articles, those peer-reviewed journal articles, you can check journal article and you can check peer review here. So if you're not familiar with peer review, there is a video here at the bottom of online collection, just a quick peer review in 3 minutes. I'll try to give it to you in 30 seconds. If you're a researcher, you're a scientist, you're a scholar, and you want to publish your findings, publish your research, you send your paper off to an academic journal, and that academic journal sends it out to a panel of experts for peer review. These are your colleagues, sometimes it can be your competitors. These are people who care and study and are experts in the same topic that you may be writing about. They can suggest revisions, they can suggest rejection, they can say take your paper and go home, work harder, but it's really a quality control process for research. So it's not perfect. We're dealing with human beings here. Nothing is perfect when you're dealing with human beings, but it is a seal of approval. It's kind of the best vetting system that we currently have for ensuring that accurate scientific research or accurate scholarly research gets published out there. And it can be very, very competitive because these people care a lot about their topics. So peer review can get pretty interesting. That's what I did for a living for 5 years. So if you want a dirty, dark secrets from the peer review world. I may be able to share some. I know that's riveting stuff. Google Scholar, we'll get to those academic journal articles as well. Scholar, excellent resource. Not going to knock it. You know, people have a tendency to, you know, not Google in general, but you can hit those paywalls. So here I search for alternative energy. This first article, alternative energy technologies from Nature. I get the abstract, which is the summary. But if I want to read the whole article, I have to rent it for $9 or subscribe for $200. $9 is pretty cheap. These articles can get just absurdly expensive. This is the exact same article as this right here. I just searched in the library database. So we're not going to have everything that you find in Google Scholar, but we will have you know, a number of these articles, a good chunk. So if you find something in Google Scholar, you find something just through general Googling, you can't access it, you hit that paywall, search the library database. We may pay for it, so you don't have to.
Describe what Google Scholar is as a function of Google search engine, and how it differs from just generic Google and what the algorithm basically reflects.
Yeah, so Google Scholar is looking specifically at academic journals.
But it's Google search, right?
Yes. So it's a Google search. It's using all their power, all their money, all their expertise, and focusing that on just finding academic papers. And they have some really cool features that, because Google has everything, even if it's not publicly available, they do have it indexed somewhere. You can, let me just go back to Scholar. You know, if you're going into a field, hey, what are the big journals in this field? You know, what are the top journals? If you go to metric here in Google Scholar, you know, you can see top publications. You can change the category, you can change the language. Let's say I'm going into engineering and computer science, subcategories. I'm going into evolutionary computation. Sure, that sounds interesting. I can see the top journals here. And this right here is a rank. There's different ways of ranking journals. A lot of it is based on citation counts, you know, who's citing who more. Sometimes you'll see impact factor out there as well. It's, you know, they measure impact by how often this research is getting cited or this research is getting used down the line. So these are kind of the most often, not necessarily most often cited, but in general, these will be kind of the more often cited journals here. So, you know, you can dig down, and then if you see a journal you like, you can search for that journal in our database and just go from there. That's if you're getting very, very deep and doing some more advanced research. But for the, you know, purposes of a lot of your searching you'll do, these filters here on the left should suffice. Remember publication date, remember to narrow by discipline, and remember to look out for those subject terms. Every student wants to write about medical marijuana for some reason. It's a question I get a lot. It's just an example. You can search for medical marijuana, you can search for medical cannabis, you could even be more specific than that. You know, just think about the different ways people refer to a topic and the different terms that they use and what the experts use. So if you get a good paper, look at the terminology that that author used in that good paper. You know, it's like my wife loves following different Pitbull related accounts on Instagram, but there's like, you know, Pitbull hashtags, pity hashtags, velvet hippo hashtags. All of these talk about hippos, or sorry, Pitbulls. Library subject headings are kind of standardized language, so everything would be under the same hashtag or everything would be under the same heading. So those are the terms you want to find. So after that, we have this internet searching tab. There's a lot of different rubrics for evaluating online information. We have this under internet searching and kind of website evaluation, but you really should be applying this to everything you're reading, not just online, paper books as well. Here we have it broken down into relevance, authority, and bias. You know, you can get deeper than that, but this is a pretty good place to start. Relevance, you know, general stuff. What's your, you know, what's the resource, the website about? Who's the audience? Is it useful to you? You know, is it for an academic audience? Is it for, you know, is it a popular resource? You want that, and is it appropriate for what you're using, you know, for college level research? Authority, this is the big one with Wikipedia. With Wikipedia, we don't know who wrote it. We don't know their expertise. So that authority question, you want to know who's publishing this information, where it's coming from, what their credentials are. You want to look for references or citations, so you can track down information if you need to, confirm information if you need to. Also check out those references for the resources. Again, one paper can be a key to a whole bunch of different resources in your area. If you find a paper that's like, this is perfect, they're talking about my topic, they're giving me these, you know, this great information, you know, where did they get their information? Go to that reference list and see if any of those titles look promising, and then you can search from there. So always look for those references and look to see if that information can be verified. Is there even an in-text citation instead of just, by some reports, 80% of people, blah, blah, blah. Maybe some more specific than some reports. Maybe, according to a report by this organization or this company. So look for specifics, especially if you're seeing facts and figures and data cited, and try to verify that information. And then finally, bias. What's the author's point of view or bias? Bias doesn't necessarily, mean a resource is junk. It's just something you want to be aware of, and you want to think about what are they leaving out. This can be, you can run into this if you're using nonprofit information. Nonprofits advocate for a certain position, so you want to take that into account. They may not have information that contradicts their opinion or challenges, what they might be advocating for. For instance, the American Library Association is a nonprofit. They do lobbying. If I want to know why libraries stink, I'm not going to the ALA website. Hopefully there isn't one out there, but you just want to think about advocacy and lobbying and things like that when you're looking at those nonprofits. Look for opposing viewpoints. Does the author entertain opposing viewpoints? Do they address those strong arguments against their position or their topic or challenges to whatever they're covering? And look at the language. Look for emotional language, prejudicial language. Look for signs of deception, stereotypes, discrimination, things like that. With popular news, a common signal of bias is just really unflattering photos of people, especially politicians. Look out for that. It doesn't mean it's garbage, but if you see something that looks a little wacky or wild, a lot of times that can be just the first signal that you may be looking at a biased resource. Just put up kind of your intent and look out for some more there. Knowing an author's expertise can tell you about their bias. So these are all kind of intertwined, but you really just want to be asking questions the whole time you're evaluating these resources, reading these resources. Don't just take it all as scripture. You want to be constantly interrogating what you're reading as you're reading it. With websites, I have about 8 minutes left, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we have a few examples here. I'll click on this ancient metallurgy site. The design of a website, don't put too much stock in it. Like this site looks like it's from the beginning of the internet, but it's a very basic site just about ancient metallurgy. So if I'm evaluating this site for relevance, authority, and bias, one of the first things I'm going to do is look at the URL. I see it's a .edu. So that's a good sign. Again, doesn't mean it's bulletproof. It just means that, hey, okay, this is associated with a higher education institution. If it has that little tilde there, that little swiggle, that means it's a person-specific web page. So we want to know who this person is, who created this. We also want to know when it's published. So look at the top of the page, the bottom of the page. That's where publication date can usually be found. Here you can see it was revised 2014, file last modified in July 2020. So somebody's been maintaining this page. Plus the topic is metallurgy. Unless there's some amazing new discovery, it might not matter too much if this information is dated. So again, the topic matters and it's something you want to take into account when you're looking at publication date. I want to find the author. I want to find this author's expertise. I see these sources at the bottom. Good sign. There's citations. But I don't see any information here. Go back to the main page. And here's the author, David K. Jordan. He's a professor of anthropology at UCSD. Don't be afraid just to Google authors to confirm, because I could create a page and write David K. Jordan on it. So you can, this is where Google can be helpful. Here's his department page at UCSD. Click personal website. I'm back full circle. So that's a good way to confirm that information. Really quickly in the last couple minutes, never underestimate the lengths people will go to trick you. This is Dog Island, free forever. It's a website where you can get information about sending your dog in a box to an island where they roam free, eat rabbits, live a human-free existence. So they have links for send your dog. Here's the box you send your dog in. Facilities, Tiny Dog Island, Huge Dog Island, Mega Dog Island, photos. Somebody spent a lot of time creating this website, populating every single one of these pages. They have staff listed. When I'm looking at the staff on this page, I'm not going to dig in there now. Somebody's name is the resident dogologist, not a thing, red flag. But You know, even you go up to company information here at the top, company information or an about, usually at the top or the bottom, somebody wrote a decent little company summary here. The only place on this website that says it's fake is at the very bottom. You can't even see it now because you have some services down there, but is a disclaimer down here in blue on blue text. You click the disclaimer, it says it's made in jest. So this is kind of a goofy one. I'm not going to give you problems if you're doing academic research, but just be aware that some of this stuff can be hidden out there, and never underestimate how far people will go to mess with you on the internet. And then finally, just end with a couple words on Wikipedia. As I mentioned, you don't know who's editing it, you don't know their expertise. Wikipedia vandalism can be a big issue, especially on contentious topics, especially on political topics. There's some accusations a few months ago that some members of the Chinese government were editing the Hong Kong Wikipedia page to put forth a certain narrative about the protests. So especially if there's a political scandal, those Wikipedia pages can become an absolute mess. This was Hendersonville's page. I didn't do this just for this example. This was before my time, but somebody changed the Hendersonville page on Wikipedia to say it's populated by monkeys, there's a 500-foot bear, and several buildings are from the future. So why edit Hendersonville's Wikipedia page? Who knows?
Are you even testing this time?
What's that? I tested 2 out of 3. I haven't seen the bear. No, I'm just no. Some of them are funny. This was one during the World Cup a few years ago. Somebody changed the United States Secretary of Defense page to be the Team USA soccer goalie, Tim Howard. So there's some funny ones out there, but also some nefarious ones out there. Some folks are really trying to put some skewed and biased information. Also with the expertise thing, there was an article a few years ago. My wife actually went to high school with this guy, Stephen Pruitt. Let's read his wiki because I'm sure he tried to make it accurate. He has edited. He's one of the most 25 influential people on the internet. It doesn't have him here, but he has edited, tens of thousands, maybe even millions of Wikipedia articles. So, nobody is an expert. Okay, 2.5 million edits. That's unbelievable. Nobody's an expert in 2.5 million different subject areas. A lot of these edits were minor grammatical edits, but a lot of them were more complex. He's my wife trusts him, but he's not an expert. He doesn't have specific subject expertise like somebody who would be writing a published encyclopedia or academic paper would. So just be aware of that and be careful with your Wikipedia. One time I do like using Wikipedia is to mine their references. I'll just do Roman Empire because this entry is absolutely gigantic. So if you are reading Wikipedia, you want general information, just dip a toe in the topic. This isn't scholarly research. This is just kind of looking at what's out there. Check these references. Mine these references. Mine these citations for good resources. So on this entry, you can just see right here the first few, a couple books, some academic journal publications. Here's a social science history from Duke University Press, Journal of World Systems Research. So a lot of these are academic or are scholarly resources. So don't be afraid to use those citations, but just go to the source if you can. Always trace yourself back to the academic, to the rigorous resources there at the beginning, or sorry, when you're searching there. For your library assignment, you have to identify different types of publications: scholarly, trade, and popular. Click around when you're in those databases. Look for that details tab. I can show you.
Actually, let me go ahead
Is that a
and
bit?
say something before we leave.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
So thank you. Yeah, come see me.
Applause, please, boys, girls.
Library Blues.
God, I got one clap, buddy. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Real quickly before you leave, Flipgrid or the discussion this week. Do one or the other. If you're not doing anything, that you're basically putting up a white flag. Hey, don't leave that, brother. I want to talk to you before you go. Anyway, but thank you very much. If you are shy in assignment and you want to make up some points, if you show up at the library and do some research and have them just give you a little document saying you did as much, send that to me. I'll count off whatever you'd like to get your 0 out of. But to actually show up to the library physically if you can. And once again, they've got it set up as safer than about any place you could go. One more thing on the research, plagiarism. There's some really terrific tools out there for making sure that people aren't borrowing too much of someone else's writing and calling it their own. Be conscious of that as you move forward here. Turnitin is a great tool for that. So if you're trying to use cite other documents and you're trying to use that and you're still a little confused about what's citation and what's actually plagiarism, the library can help you with that. And we've got some great tools, but really be careful because there's a lot of tools to swipe stuff. There's also a lot of tools to find the people who are swiping information. So be conscious of that. And with that said, please, every single assignment this week, go through them all. We'll be going over on Thursday. I need you to get into Flipgrid a couple of times at least so you can see each other and respond to each other. But if you're there first, clearly you can't respond to anybody. With that said, if you're missing anything at all in the grade book, find it, tell me, and I'll fix it. Okay, like I said, the goal here is to make sure everyone succeeds and everyone shows up. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day. Let's see you Thursday. Hey, brother, I just appreciate you. I was just going to say how much I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, I'll set that.
No, I just I'm such a fan.
Yeah,
Just in general, and just, what I would like to do is, take field trips to like Carolina and see the stacks and say, by the way, while this stuff is sort of being, dismissed at this point in time, look at this. This is all of our knowledge right here. These are the shoulders upon which we
It's like it's a temple of knowledge.
Yeah. And I actually at Harvard, they've got like 7 or 8 terrific libraries on site, and then Widener, I think it's Widener, is just breathtaking in terms of just how much you can. And you go in there and you look. And then this year I went to the Library of Congress. Hey guys.
Oh, I have a question
Yeah, please.
about in the grade book. I have 2 assignments. I think it says 0, but when I look at my courses, it says I completed both of them.
Okay, good. Send me an email and I'll fix it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here, Greg. Yeah, but it was, then I went to DC where my daughter was, she was the time she was Nancy Pelosi's only intern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now she's working for it because she's an intern. She just got a Congressman Rowe out of California. She's waiting for him. That's for his social media person. But anyways, when I went to DC last time, the surprise she had was she took us to the Library of Congress, got me a card.
Yeah.
To check in as a member of the library. I didn't even do that. It was the coolest thing, right?
I lived there for 8 years, so
okay.
I worked downtown. I was at the National Academy.
Oh, hysterical. That's great.
You know where the Albert Einstein statue is? That building by the Lincoln Memorial.
I've been to see it. Not so much as of late, but with Kenzie up there, I pop at intervals. But I'm a big DC fan, just in general. The amount of free stuff.
Yes. Yeah. If there's something wrong with the metro, I'll just take a stroll down the road and go to the museum. And the National Gallery was my home base for a long time. It's quieter than.
Yeah. I love that. And they should have a swimming pool.
Yeah, they drained it. Yes.
I went last year. It's one of my favorite things. So quiet and nice. I think enclosed area. And I thought, I've got pictures of us by this replace.
Yeah. And gosh, I haven't been back to downtown DC in 4 years, I guess. So I'm not sure.
I'm saying not here. You're saying that town.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm from Baltimore. I moved there. I graduated in 07, 08.
Right. But I just mean you've been out of town for one administration.
Yes. Yeah. No. I moved when Obama started. And I left after when he left in 2014, 2015. So yeah, I was there for one administration, and I left.
Yeah, that's the
next one. But yeah, there was just so much construction renovation going on when I was there. I think natural history had some renovation going on. Air and space had a wing closed down.
Yeah.
That I really want to go back on the. What's it called? Dunbar and Oaks. I think they were sponsored by Harvard. They have a Byzantine research institute there for Eastern Roman Empire research. It's off the beaten path a little bit, but it's in Georgetown, Wisconsin Avenue. One of the coolest places. The last time I was up there, they were completely redoing the Byzantine collection, and I missed it. So I want to go back and go there. But I grew up in Baltimore.
Okay.
So it was close.
Right? Kenzie had us up there for like 3 or 4 days, and I had put in a list of things that I wanted to do that were a little more off the beaten path, and she responded, I think that you're coming to DC and I'm showing you. You don't listen to me at all. And so everything from where we ate to what we're doing, like I said, visiting the
letter of Congress and finding out that I got a card with my picture on it. She knows how small that, and how important it is to me, and how small a person that I care that much. And then, but like everywhere we ate, it was, the whole thing was just to tell me to shut up because she is over the top about planning stuff. But it was great.
So did she like interning?
She was interning with Pelosi. Before that, she was interning with, she was at American briefly, and she didn't feel there was any rigor. But furthermore, every time she was working on the Hill for a gal was associated with American, and she thought, this is really what I want to be doing, is working. And then from there, she got another gig with another congressperson, and then she got Pelosi, and then coronavirus hit, so that sort of evaporated underneath her because there was no work for interns at all. And although she was there during the impeachment, so that was pretty, she worked with Pelosi during the impeachment, so she said one time they have, the jury, what do they call it? Anyways, the Democrats were in town, the people were challenging. They're all in one room. Well, they need today's Washington Post, and she brought it out there. And the whole cast of characters signed to be right there. And I was like,
it has to be surreal.
Wow.
I've seen it so much on TV and C-SPAN and everything.
Yeah.
Being in the
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And as Hamilton fans, the rumor happened, it's sort of close to our heart. But anyways, it was cool that she got to sort of be part of that. It evaporated. She just got hired after being. She worked for a guy from Chicago whose name escapes me for a while as a paid intern, and then she just got a full-time gig with this Rhoda guy about a few weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she's, and like I said, it's fun. They've got this great little apartment in DC.
I did the city for 1 year, and I moved to Alexandria. I'm supposed to get that experience living in town.
Right.
It was awesome, but it was a lot of money for us at that time.
Yeah. She's the guy. She graduated together from Carolina, and he got into this startup where it's like a professional development online training thing that's actually turning a profit. Most of them are. So he got in there, and now they won't let him leave. So they keep telling him he's going to get more stock bonuses and stuff when they sell.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
really. Pretty cool. So yeah, so he's doing right out of school great, and I'm envious, except that he'll probably pay for my retirement.
Yeah.
Anyway, but thanks so much. I really appreciate it. A lot of great information.
This is my first one this semester, so just moved same semester than 122. So yeah, I've noticed a couple students I've seen before in the library.
Well, the fact that you can identify anybody, it turns out I was wholly unaware that I have a Rolodex in my head that totally relies on mouths and noses.
Yes. Yeah.
Without the mouth and nose, I can't place any information. It's crazy. I'm sure if I'd been raised, in a place where it burkas or something, I have a different spinal system. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my students who's right there has this crazy red-dyed hair. She had her hair so distinct. When I saw her in English, she worked there. I said, Jen, how you doing? She's like, who are you?
Yeah.
I recognize somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, but thanks so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You have a great day.
You too.